They're really trying to get it out there fast. So there is no master plan yet. The idea is to roll out in the schools. They're taking a little bit of the understandably easy way out. They're saying schools figure it out. These are the standards that we want your kids to know. But you've got your own curriculum and instruction. We're not telling you this is the curriculum you have to teach, right? So that's still happening out there all over the country. So the actual content is still being determined at the school level or at the system level.
Right.
In terms of the assessments, there is conversations, absolutely. What will assessments look like now? And one of the really cool things for us, and this is like mind-blowing if you guys could sit in these meetings, but they're starting to say, we need to think about how to assess more than just multiple choice, right? Wow. You mean we can do that? So, a short answer. So yes, reflective essays. But the term performance task, which I shared with you guys, performance task is bigger than just theater. We've got the word performance in there. But what would a science performance task look like? What would a science performance task look like?
Project.
Experiment or project, right? Bunsen burner, right? Fuel pig, whatever you're working on. Okay? Whatever they're making you do. Okay? What would a math performance task look like?
A proof.
A proof up on the board or on your paper
Right.
even?
Or modeling.
Modeling, right?
But
Okay.
I mean, are schools going, like the Beacon School is a great example of performance-based assessment.
Yeah.
Do we see that sort of taking a next
Yes.
step? I mean, this is off target. I know.
Yeah, it's a longer, bigger conversation, but yes. The point being that you can't assess for these qualities in multiple choice. How can I know if you're a self-directed learner by asking you 50 multiple choice questions?
Can you demonstrate?
Doesn't mean that multiple choice doesn't have a place, right? There is a place for content recall. To be able to know this. Do you know what a gobo is? Do you know where stage left is? Multiple choice, by the way, we're working on this, so I'll share with you guys a couple of the things that we're doing right now in my department. So you know what we do, other than talk to graduates, undergraduates. So some of the things we're working on, we got a grant from the U.S. Department of Education. It's an I3 grant, which is a major grant, $5 million. There was only, I think maybe 13 given out in the country. And our arts office partnering with Studio in a School, which is a visual arts group, Arts Connection, which does performing arts and visual arts, the 52nd Street Y and the Dance Lab, and Carnegie Hall for music. So all 4 art forms. Each one, we've assembled teams of teaching artists and classroom teachers, theater specialists, K to 12, to develop, our theory is, to develop assessments in the arts for the non-arts kids. Not for you guys, not for the people that did theater in high school, okay, and had credits, but for the kids that had 1 semester of theater because that was required, and they never took it again. And what we're trying to do is, we're trying to have these assessments be a snapshot to reveal what is it that kids should be able to know, do, and understand in theater, right? That are not theater kids. What do we want an informed citizen to know? Should a 5th grader know what a treble clef is? Should a 5th grader know what improv is? Should a 5th grader know what a self-portrait is? Right? Should a 5th grader be able to mix colors, to come up with another color, and know how we get to purple? Not just, no, just got there. Okay? What should an 8th grade student know? What should a 12th grade student know? So we're working on those right now with teams. And we're going to be piloting things in the next year and in the next couple years with the intention of twofold. One, to kind of create assessments that are authentic to what we do, that are kind of, that the system can accept and embrace, so that we don't just do an ABC and have a rubric, bad, good, very good, excellent. What's excellent? He spoke loudly. What's very good? I could kind of hear him. You know, all the way down to like, couldn't hear him. And like that is supposed to be criteria for us. No, we actually have terms that we use, etc. So how do we make that? But not just a doing, right? We want to differentiate the assessment just like we want to differentiate learning and teaching, right? Some kids, who here is more of a interpersonal learner? You kind of like to be able to read the directions to put together something before you put it together. Who does that? Probably guys? Who hates reading the directions, rather rip open the box and just figure it out? Very interesting that we're talking to theater people. Right? Unscientific? I would have guessed that. Because theater people tend to, except for maybe playwrights and sometimes designers, be more kinesthetic learners, right? I'll try and I'll fail and I'll do it again and I'll audition and that whole process. Whereas a playwright usually is kind of working on their own. So we want to find out different ways. So can we have a reflective essay? Can we create an assessment that kids enter a room in an hour and a half, do some kind of doing, some kind of writing, some kind of justifying, defending, etc. In addition to trying to understand that snapshot, we also want to drive instruction. Because is there a curriculum for theater in New York City schools right now? It's not a trick question. Is there a curriculum for New York City theater? For theater in New York City schools? No. There's no curriculum for theater. There's no curriculum that exists. We have the blueprint, which is a guide. But as you know, if you looked at the blueprint, it's suggestions. Okay, it's benchmarks and indicators, not lesson plans, and you should hit this, and this, and this, and this. Right? So there's no curriculum right now. So the teaching that's going on is wildly disparate, right? You're going to be hired, you're going to go out, and you're going to need to make your curriculum. Hopefully you'll talk to some colleagues who are out there and just say, what have you done? You'll adjust it to yourself, but you're going to need to write your own curriculum. So we want to drive instruction. We want to drive policy through assessment a little bit. Not to embarrass the system, but to say, hey, 5th grade kids are no trouble club. Can we kind of start making lesson plans so that a 5th grader can learn a treble clef? And shouldn't you hire a theater teacher then? If a kid doesn't know improv by 5th grade, right? Doesn't know Raising the Sun by 8th grade, right? Doesn't know Theater of the Absurd by 12th grade, or is not able to speak in front of people by 8th grade, shouldn't we have a class where they can learn that? Aren't these 21st century skills, right? And creative skills as opposed to just, right, labor skills? Not just labor skills, but in addition to labor skills. So that's one big initiative we're working on. A couple other things to share with you guys is, you asked about the regions. Are you guys familiar that you can actually, New York City students can get a chancellor's endorsed diploma in theater? You got one?
I think so. Yeah.
Are you in New York City?
Yeah, I took
Where'd you go to high school?
LaGuardia.
You went to LaGuardia. Did you take it?
Yeah, I took it.
When did you take it?
Out of LaGuardia.
No, when? Last year, 2 years ago?
Oh, 2007.
Didn't exist yet.
We might have been we had test regions for us. But they were definitely.
Yes, the piloting. Yes, we were piloting in 2007.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Embrace it. You got it, yeah! The last 2 years we've been giving it, and over 800 students have gotten a chancellor's endorsed diploma in the arts, in the 4 art forms. And those students, what they have to do is, over a year they do a portfolio. You guys are familiar with portfolio assessments? So they have a portfolio, they do a multiple choice test in January, and then in June they actually have 2 things, a reflective essay that they have to write, and then they get a 2-person scene that they have to do with an adjudicator from the school and one from outside of their school, kind of watching them. They have to have had 10 credits in theater, a minimum, so that's kind of cool, right? That means that a school like LaGuardia clearly has it, but other schools also, Hillcrest and Fordham School for the Arts, there's different schools, PPAS, Sound Limited, Murrow, Stuyvesant, there's schools that have 10 credit sequences. So we want to try and get a Regents. The ultimate goal is that it would not be a chancellor's endorsed diploma, it would be a Regent for theater, because they don't exist now. So that's another thing we've been working on. I mentioned the professional development. That's a big part of what we do. We had a session yesterday, just to give you the arc. So if you're a New York City theater teacher, right, if you were already in the system, you would have been invited by me to come to the session yesterday. We had a full day on teaching and directing of theater. And the idea was, and I would share this with you also, I believe that you have to start as an artist first. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but I would actually hope if I said how many of you are artists, that it would be a no-brainer, your hand would go up. You wouldn't even think about it. If you have to think about it, I'm not saying think about another field, but think about why you thought about it. Sometimes when I talk to teachers, they say, well, artist has a connotation of professionalism and making money on my art, but I didn't say that, right? And even if that was true, that's not necessarily what an artist is. So an artist, I think, has some skills in the field, right? And a desire to create and express, or however you want to define it. The point is,